Hi guys, and welcome to the Stephen King Sematary Club. Hi guys. At this point, Bill thinks that he might have some kind of psychological problem that's causing his weight loss. Like maybe the seed was planted in his mind about losing weight, and he somehow is manifesting that on his own. And he's not entirely convinced of that because he really is believing in this curse, but he needs to check some things out. So he goes to talk to Judge Rossington, the one who let him off with really no punishment at all. He gets to his house and he's away. The judge has gone to the Mayo Clinic and his wife is there, and she is furious at Bill for having struck and killed that woman because she says it's his fault what's going on. Now, what has happened to the judge is he is growing scales, like alligator scales. So his entire body is turning hard and armored, and he thinks it's some kind of skin cancer, and it's his way of rationalizing because this is definitely not skin cancer. So she's repulsed by him, she's upset, she's mad at Bill, and we'll find out later too that another person is involved. He is also cursed, and it's not entirely Bill's fault. This really bothers me because, yeah, maybe Bill hit and killed the woman, but the judge could have done the right thing and punished him for it. Then he wouldn't have been cursed. You know, the cop could have gone harder on Bill and he wouldn't have been cursed. So it's unfair for them to blame him. Like, no, if you do the right thing on your own, you wouldn't be paying the consequences for these actions, which were your actions. So the other one I was talking about is Duncan Hopley, and he was the police officer, and he is getting like really, they called it acne, but it's like really large, pus-filled sores that are oozing. They're entirely covering his face. It's disgusting, and it's not normal. And, you know, the doctor is still saying, oh, it's adult acne, he's had problems for years, and, you know, just trying to explain it away. Not wanting to see that 3 different men have had interactions with the same old man, and all 3 of them are now experiencing very bizarre illnesses that aren't typical at all. There's a line in here that I think is perfect because, yet again, it references Stephen King. Billy is talking to Dr. Houston, and the doctor says, quote, "You were starting to sound a little like a Stephen King novel for a while there, but it's not like that." Page 111. So I really enjoy that reference. So when Billy goes to talk to Hopley, the police officer, he's hoping to get him to team up with him and find the old man, find out if there's a way to reverse the curse. And Hopley is just despondent and he's bitter, and he's saying, you know, well, there are tons of books on curses, not many on how to reverse them, so I don't think it's possible. I'm not partaking in this. And it could have been interesting. It could have been the 3 men going on an adventure trying to get the curse reversed for them, but it ends up only being Bill who sees it through. So Hopley does end up shooting himself, and when Bill is talking to the doctor about him, the doctor's like, well, according to the autopsy, you know, he just had some slight acne. It wasn't like what you described, and I think you are having some mental issues here. And Bill says, quote, "When the werewolf finally gets killed, it turns back into a man again." Page 137. So he thinks that once Hopley died, his curse started lifting and losing its power, and his skin cleared up to, you know, normal amounts of lesions. So now there's a thing where the doctors who are examining Bill, because he's consistently losing weight, they think he has some kind of psychological anorexia. And he refuses to stay in the clinic and get further tests because he realizes that at the rate he is going, he is not going to make it. And so he needs to start right now heading out, trying to find a way to get the curse reversed. And since no one believes him and no one wants to help him, what choice does he have but to go alone? And Heidi finally does ask him. She says, when he explains that he's been cursed, because he hadn't told her until this point, when he explains to her what is happening, she says, well, then why didn't he curse me too? And he says, because the guy didn't know what you were doing. That's the only reason you have escaped. So then we get really interesting information. Billy has had one of his work buddies, Kirk Penchley. He's had him digging into the situation. He's had him investigating people, getting photos, and he has uncovered that the woman that Bill hit and killed was named Susanna Lemke, and she was not the wife of the old man, whose name is Tadeusz Lemke, but she was the daughter, and he's 106 years old. So now Bill is thinking, well, what would I have done if someone had killed my daughter? To him it's more understandable, given that it was his daughter and not his wife. So we have Bill kind of putting things in order. He talks to Janelli on the phone, so we still haven't really had any interaction between them other than this phone conversation. But he's so concerned for Bill, and he is giving him support that no one else is giving him. Like his wife Heidi isn't supporting him, the doctor doesn't believe him, the other two men who are cursed just kind of blame him and are bitter and don't want to talk about it. And Janelli is he is a sympathetic ear. It's a very heartwarming part because Bill has been adrift for so long, helpless, alone, he doesn't know where to turn, who to talk to, and Janelli is I just love him. So he offers to help, maybe, and Bill says, well, I don't need you yet, I'm going to try and do this stuff on my own. So he writes a note to Heidi, quote, I've engaged detectives through Kirk Penchley and have determined that the gypsies have been heading steadily north up Interstate 95. I hope to track them down in Maine, page 154. So, even though it's a Richard Bachman book, we are going to end up in Maine. Bill is not hot on their trail, he's several days behind. He keeps closing the gap because they stop and hang out, and he's able to just go straight through. So he brings photos, he brings all the information, and he is asking people if they've seen him, all this stuff. He does meet an old man who used to be a carnival worker, and he knew this Lemke from back in '63. And the guy apparently hasn't really aged a day. And this guy he said he's kind of scared of him. And he did go and stand outside of Lemke's trailer, just kind of hiding in the shadows, not really working up his courage to go in and see him. Quote, I was way back in the shadows, but he saw me and called me by my old name. What the gypsies would call my secret name, I guess. They set a hell of a store by knowing a man's secret name. Page 173. And it's this Lemke has such amazing power and ability. It's very interesting. I think it could have been an interesting story told from his perspective. I really would have liked to see Thinner from Lemke's view. That would have been very, very cool. So anyway, Bill gets information from this guy. He starts traveling north on the interstate, showing his photos around. People have recognized them. He knows he's on the right track. And he continues, and he's checking in with the guy who's helping him back home, and all of a sudden the guy starts acting bizarre, and it sounds like he's got someone listening in on the line. So he knows that Heidi has signed commitment papers. He has to avoid talking to people. He kind of has to go off the grid now because they're going to be looking for him. They want to commit him for psych evaluation and treatment. So now there's an added element of he's got to get away with this, but still stay on the trail. And, time is also an issue because he's wasting away to nothing. He has kind of scared several people by his appearance. They've kind of reacted in shock and horror at his emaciated look. And things are getting very interesting because now he has finally caught up and he is about to walk into the camp.